And our guest right now is Larry Kudlow from CNBC. Larry Kudlow, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. I read with interest your article about the April jobs numbers. You know, the Wall Street went crazy about them, and you had pundits all over the place talking about how great things are. But I read your article, and, well, you know, you're always an optimist about the markets, but with regard to employment, you don't seem to be full of joy. What was wrong with April's numbers?
No, look, April's numbers were okay, 165,000. You ought to do 300,000. You ought to do 350,000.
No, explain that, because when you say ought to do, you mean based on the strength of the economy, or just based on the fact that you need to do those kind of numbers just to at least keep things going?
Yeah, you need to do those numbers to break even. Look, if you my problem with this story is, if you look at long-term historical trends of economic growth in the U.S., okay, two things. Number one, we are about 10 to 12 million jobs below where we ought to be, all right, below the long-term trend line. That is a huge miss, all right? And that's not even counting the overall 22 million number of unemployed, underemployed, or discouraged who left the labor force. I'm just saying, at this stage of an economic recovery, historically, we'd be about 10 to 12 million jobs better than we are. So let's keep the pom-poms to a minimum here. Second point I would say is regarding the overall economy as measured by GDP, real GDP, okay? The story is even worse. You know, from 1947 to 2007, the American economy grew by 3.25% per year, 3.25% per year. All right, over the last 10, 12 years, we're growing about 1.8% a year, covering both administrations, Bush and Obama. We are $3 trillion below our own long-term baseline of economic growth. And I don't know how the hell we're going to make that up unless we have a true recovery from the very deep recession. We need to grow better than 5% for 10 years in order to get back that $3 trillion in lost output. These are huge body blows to our long-run economic strength and our leadership. That's my point.
All right, let me talk about Internet sales tax, because the Senate approved the Internet sales tax 69 to 27. The reporting that you read on this suggests that it might be a heavier lift in the House of Representatives. Where are you on the Internet sales tax? Because I'm sort of divided on the issue.
Well, you shouldn't be divided. It's
all right. Well, then teach me.
It's a terrible idea. It's just a big tax hike for smaller Internet sales companies. By the way, shame on those Republicans that voted for it. Shame on Republicans that voted for it.
Well, let me just play devil's advocate here, because the other side of the argument is this isn't fair to the brick and mortar stores.
No, that is not true. You already have an in-state sales tax for Internet. If you're located in the state, then yes, you got to charge people a sales tax. This is interstate. This is 9,600 sales tax jurisdictions. This means for a smaller Internet company, they have to do what smaller bricks and mortar companies do not have to do, and that is have enough compliance and lawyers and accountants to keep track of all the different sales taxes, some of which are so incredibly complicated around the country.
Yeah.
No comparable bricks and mortar store has to do that. Look, if you're a big chain like Amazon used to be against this. Okay, in recent years, however, Amazon has set up supply depots and distribution depots in almost all the states. So they're covering each state by state because they're located inside the state. But you can't tell a little company, a smaller company, that they have to know whether ice cream cones should be 6 inches wide or whether pouring different kinds of syrup over ice cream cones is subject to a sales tax or not. This is just a big tax grab. This is something the big companies have wanted for a long time to punish and crush the smaller Internet sales companies.
Larry Kudlow, really quickly, you say shame on the Republicans. One of them is Paul Ryan. I know how much respect you have for Representative Paul Ryan.
I do, and I think it's a terrible vote. I'm very sorry. I had Ted Cruz on the show last night. He dissented. He laid it out beautifully. This is a big tax grab. It's just the big guy. It's big government and big businesses and big online businesses now trying to crush smaller businesses. I regret that Ryan voted for it. I think it's it's going to go down in the House. It'll never pass the House. The idea of raising any kind of taxes right now, I mean, the GOP has lost its message and it's lost its mind.
Larry Kudlow, we got to roll. Larry
Well, I've
Kudlow,
been taken to
CNBC.
class, that's
yes,
for
you
sure.
Have.
I've
And
had
so
to
is
change
Paul
my
Ryan.
opinion about this.
All right, we're going to look for that interview. I bet it's on CNBC.com.
CNBC.com. Watch how Ted Cruz walks through all the questions I asked him. He did one hell of a great job.
We sure will, and you always do one hell of a great job with us. Thanks, Larry.